Hi, I'm Dr. Russell Friedman, and today I'm going to talk to you about QSM3 and a new paradigm of three-dimensionality, tensegrity, and vitalism. So for a long time, for many decades, from the original inception of chiropractic from B.J. Palmer, we have looked at the atlas and the way that it's moved, and C2 was brought in, and then Gregory brought in the skull, the atlas, and C2 and down to the neck. And one of the things that we were looking at is what is going on below, and does that affect the correction? And what we found is many people on a film will have the same view up top, but down below a very different view, meaning their pelvis could be low on one side versus the other, same picture up top. The pelvis could be twisted one way versus the other, anterior versus posterior, same picture up top. So we started looking at the pelvis, and we wanted to create a relationship between that top piece and then the lower piece. And we started looking at the pelvis and we integrated that. Then we integrated in the shoulder, and then we started looking at, and that's what opened up a new conversation of when the body goes off center, is understanding how it modulates and then how it rebalances. So we have a trauma. The trauma produces a misalignment. The misalignment goes off center, and then gravity pushes down, and what does the body do? The body has an understanding that it wants to be in the most relaxed, stress-free, most energetically powerful position, and we call that rebalance. And in chiropractic, we call that compensation. So we have a system that goes off center somewhere, and then what does it do up top? From that breakdown, say the breakdown is here in the middle, from that point, the body will modulate and come back to center, twisting and turning three-dimensionally. And how does it do that? It does that through the proprioceptive system. So we have a system that speaks neurologically down in the pelvis, speaks neurologically up at the atlas, and it creates this constant modulation three-dimensionally, three-dimensional oscillation. So we have trauma, misalignment, rebalance, breakdown, more trauma, more rebalance, breakdown, and we end up with systems, because there's trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, and rebalance, 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 is we have systems and postures that are showing biomechanically incorrect. And in upper cervical work, we call that out-of-pattern misalignments. Well, here at QSM3, what we have done is we now understand that when the body goes off center, what has to create the modulation or the rebalance? It's not the bone. It's not the atlas. What it is the myofascial envelope actually from the pelvis to the shoulder will turn the pelvis and twist, will turn and twist the shoulder. There's a secondary system, and that system is the skull that sits on this cervical spine, a short lever, and then the head weighs 12 to 15 pounds in an adult. So now we have this mechanical advantage that is able to turn and twist. And if you look at the anatomical structure up here, you'll see that the head is the only three-dimensional movable structure, again on a short lever, so we have this huge mechanical advantage like a crowbar. So we have two systems, and we have a functional system. We have a functional system that recognizes the breakdown, and that's that proprioceptive system, and then we have a reactive system that says, hey, to the myofascial net, the myofascial envelope, that attaches and coordinates rebalance from a pelvis to shoulder, and then also from a shoulder to the head. And our job as upper cervical doctors is actually, as Gregory said, to remove the resistant pathways. Well, resistant pathways are not bones. Resistant pathways are tension lines that are created from this rebalance and this modulation. And where do they attach? They attach along the clavicle, and they attach all along the skull. Where is one of the major pathways? We call it a gateway, right here at C1. So for 50 years, 80 years, 100 years, what we have been doing is putting energy into one of the major gateways that releases the myofascial envelope here. But at QSM3, what we are also looking at is other release points. Okay, and there's 8 on each side that actually go into tension to modulate the body, to bring it to rebalance, to bring it to a steady state, to reduce the stress, to go ahead and create a balanced system even when it's been multiple traumaed. And now we have a system from trauma, misalignment, to rebalance, to correction, and now we understand a three-dimensional vitalistic model and a tensegral model that is communicating, that is rebalancing, that is coordinating itself and creating balance. And now we are able to make better corrections because we are not just going after one pathway, but we're going after all the pathways.